People ask me all the time, what's a man's biggest challenge? You know, there are a lot of things that come to mind, but I've been on the earth almost 54 years, and I think I have it figured out. And it's really about a story that I heard a long time ago. Back in World War II, many of the prisoners of war went to the German Nazi camps, and as always, there was a great deal of torture, but there was one commandant who was particularly mean. He not only tortured the prisoners physically, but he also tortured them mentally and emotionally. One of the things he was known for is when a prisoner was caught trying to escape, he would take him down into this dungeon, he would torture him before he executed him. But he always finished torturing them, and then he would look at the prisoner and he would say, you can end your life two different ways. One, in front of the firing squad, or two, what's behind that door. And there in the dungeon was this giant iron door, rusted, chained up. You know, who knows what's behind it? And every time the prisoner would sit there and he'd look at the door, and then think about the firing squad, and look at the door and think about the firing squad, every time prisoners would choose the firing squad. One day, one of the sergeants were there watching the commandant do this, and after the prisoner chose the firing squad, they ushered him up, and the sergeant was standing there and he said, Commandant, I'm not sure what's behind that door. I've seen you do this so many times. What's behind the door? The commandant kind of got this evil smile, and he went over and he unshackled it and opened up the door, and it was a tunnel. It was an escape tunnel for the commandant in case the prison was ever overtaken by, you know, the winning team, and he would escape that way. But it also meant that if the prisoner had chosen that door, it was his escape to freedom. Interesting that no prisoner ever chose that door. Why? Because they didn't know what was behind it. Because the fear itself stopped them. And see, that's the biggest issue in a man's life. We choose what we know. Even if it's pain, we choose that because we know it. It's the things we don't know that we stay away from. Well, what if? And that's why if you're venturing out in business or a new relationship or trying to make the right choice, and maybe there's some tough things ahead of you, it's so easy to just sit back and go, no, I'll just choose the pain I'm in, because we don't know what's on the other side of that door. And the truth is rather than coming up to that challenge and thinking, well, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen, why not think about the freedom that could be on the other side of that door? Maybe you start that business, maybe it goes under. Maybe you ask that girl out and maybe she says no. Maybe you start to invest your money and it's a bust. Maybe you start to get more involved in your church and it just doesn't turn out the way it should. That's how our mind turns. But the reality is, what if it does happen? What if it does blossom? What if it does grow? What if it does bring freedom? And that's where you have to be every time. That's the focus of your mindset. What is the good? What are the possibilities? Because when you serve God, it's always about the possibilities. Remember, God said where there's perfect love, it casts out all fear. There's no room to fear what's on the other side of those decisions, because you know that God loves you. And even if it fails, even if she says no, even if it's a bust, you know God brings good out of it. And every time you make that decision and choose what's on the other side of the door, you grow. You grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, socially. I mean, that's why you have to stop your mind from traveling down the road of fear. So you can either die by firing squad, or you can end your life by firing squad, or you can end your life by what's behind that door. Some of you don't realize that what's behind that door is how you could end your life. And that means it could be another 40, 50, 60 years of incredible blessing, money, family. You never know. Take the risk. Take the chance. Open the door. Walk through it. Monday Morning Man, Garth Heckman at thedavidalliance.com.